the reason for me sharing this case study with you is actually to help inspire you to how you can help take your level of storytelling out to the markets. So, all right, so this is One Great Night on Earth, okay? So this is a concert event. This is a concert event in Melbourne, Australia, scheduled for next year. And so it is it's a change the face of fundraising, okay? And people affected by natural disaster. How many of you know of Australia, have been to Australia, have friends in Australia? Well, one of the things that Australia has been faced with in the last several years has actually been these horrible floods and fires, right? Horrible floods and fires that have affected the continent. More natural disasters than any other continent on Earth. And although Australia has a very small population, about the size of Los Angeles, it's obviously an immense space. And very often people think of Australia as a rich country, but in terms of getting relief to people in place, it's been a very slow go. So in 2009, a group out of Melbourne decided, hey, we're going to put together this concert event. And so it's been in development all of these years, okay? And one of the goals of it is actually to have 100% of the ticket sales go to the people in need. If you can imagine, there are people that were impacted by fires and floods in 2008 that are still living in temporary shelters, temporary housing. Imagine if that was Los Angeles and that was the case after an earthquake. Okay? So for me, I'd been very interested in getting involved with a social good project, something on a global scale. And I had done some work, some research in Los Angeles, trying to do some work with the UN Foundation. I was very interested in things like that. And all of a sudden, I had this opportunity to meet people related to this project. And it was something that I was very, very interested in. So here we are, we have this cause, this social good cause, and the event, right? And the event is a classic rock concert, okay? A 12-hour concert event, classic rock format, 100,000 people, like Woodstock, right? Except Woodstock was like 500,000 people, right? Any Woodstock people there? Every once in a while I find somebody, okay? So the whole idea is 80 to 100,000 people, a huge audience, right? And the idea that there would be a charity in place. Historically, one of the problems has been with charitable projects is that the money is raised and then it gets locked down, people start suing each other, things of that nature. Well, we have a charity in place, Fine Green Paddock, which is the beneficiary, okay? But the whole idea is actually that it's redefining social good through music, which I'll talk a little bit more about, okay? So rock on and bring relief, right? So here we go. We have this great concert, this great branding, this great cause, all these great things. And so why would someone like myself in Los Angeles want to get involved with this project all the way on the other side of the world? And it's one of the great lessons for all of us. One of the things we should always try to do, even though we're eager to work, we should try to work with great people. And so for me personally, the reason that I'm working on this project is because of this man. His name is Chip Monk. Has anybody ever heard of Chip Monk? A couple, right? So Chip Monk is a very, very interesting person. I have a lot of very interesting phone calls at 2 in the morning. Chip Monk is considered the godfather of stage lighting. He actually is based in Melbourne. He's lived there 20 years. And when this group approached him to endorse the concert because of his rock lineage, he actually said, no, I want to be a part of the event. So like I said, this is the reason why I'm a part of it. So actually, there's a laser. I'm going to try out the laser. Oh, nope, that wasn't the laser. Shoot. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So Chip Monk is actually, this is from Woodstock. So Chip is actually, he was the lighting designer, stage designer for Woodstock. He actually was the voice of Woodstock. If you've seen the film and it says, don't take the brown acid, that was Chip. What was interesting is that when they were at Woodstock and they had all these people show up, all these people they didn't expect, they had no way to communicate with them. And because, people died at Woodstock, right? So it's like, how do you talk to these people? He became the voice on one microphone, communicating to all those people, right? And he became this iconic figure. And by the way, the reason why he said don't take the brown acid is because he was selling the blue acid. Another very bizarre thing, working with people from the 60s is not what I would expect, right? So it's really fun for me. It's very different than Hollywood, okay? All right, so there's Chip right at Woodstock. There's Peter Tork of the Monkees. So Chip then went on to he did Monterey Pop. He was the Stones tour manager for 7 years, back when I was fetal, and things like that. And then he actually had his own TV show, believe it or not. In 1974, pre-MTV, he had the first late-night rock TV show, interview show, where he interviewed Ozzy at 23 and crazy. So all this crazy, crazy stuff, right? Great people to collaborate, right? So this is exciting. So like I said, you've got Chip in place, you've got the project group out of London, you've got the talent booking group out of London, production out of Melbourne, right? Chip, this iconic rock figure, you think it's really great, right? Bring this whole thing together, and we're going to do the event, okay? The concert, right? So this is great, right? We've got this great thing. But why is it something different? Why is it something that I want to be a part of with all the challenges of being so far away? Well, I will tell you. So the thing that makes this different, oh, look at all my Skype pop-ups. It's awesome. Awesome. It's good. All right, I apologize. So anyway, what makes this brand different, One Great Night on Earth, is it is designed to redefine social good through music. That it's actually a 10-year plan of social giving, okay? Because very often what happens, we have a disaster. We have the tsunami, we have the earthquake in Haiti. People come together, they mad dash, they have an event, they raise money, they hopefully help. What makes this different is that in addition in the first year of helping flood and fire victims, this is a 10-year plan of having annual events to raise a fund so that the fund is in place to immediately help people the minute there is a crisis in the world, okay? So that's a really exciting, new, challenging thing, right? It's never been the case before. Now, you've had other historical events, like the Concert for Bangladesh, right? Has anybody heard that album, have that album, seen that movie? This event, which just had its 40th anniversary and is available on iTunes, is still raising money 40 years after the fact. It had all these amazing people, and some of them are not with us anymore, right? There's Chip, by the way. He was the lighting director at Concert for Bangladesh. Well, if you do your research on this project, it actually took 11 years for the first penny to get to the people in Bangladesh because of all of the roadblocks in place. So one of the things that was so important on this project was to put everything in place so that the money could get directly to the people. They actually spent 3 years developing the charity, getting through all the pieces with the Australian government, all the tax roadblocks that normally affect these kind of projects, so that money can immediately get to the people. So that's what we're doing, okay? Great stuff. Okay? So now, you have this event, you have this plan, right? So now the challenge for me as the transmedia storyteller is, how do you now build this community and tell stories and share stories, right? And it's not just about Australia. It's about bringing it to the world, right? A 10-year plan of social good that will start in Australia, could go to the UK, to the US, to Canada. There's no reason to say that in our 10-year plan there will not be a One Great Night on Earth in Vancouver. That would be wonderful. I would love that. But you have to think about that, where are we going to be? Where are we going to be in the digital space in the next 10 years, right? We can think as big as we want, and so that's very exciting, right? Okay. Now, I know I actually saw this in the slide from last year, so you're probably familiar with this. Obviously, the key is the whole notion of social reach, building our community, right? Reaching out to where people are, making them aware of your cause, and encouraging them to participate and become a part of a great effort, while at the same time entertaining them and bringing them value, right? Okay? So obviously, as we all know, the reach of the digital and emerging platform space is immense. So that's what we want to leverage, right? So again, you think about the whole notion of the cause. This is one of the things I've been working on, and it's been very interesting, different parts of the world. Like I had said, when I talk to people about Australia, they go, well, that's a rich country. That's not Haiti. That's not, Bangladesh, places like that. But it really is the notion of that people are still very much suffering. So how do you tell those stories? How do you build it out? Well, you very much go down to the local level, right? Getting those individual stories. That's the real meat and fiber of it all, right? Because when you had Live Aid and things like that, you only had to show the picture of the one starving kid in Africa, right? Who by the time you saw the picture was probably already gone. And that would show you the urgency and the need to give. Well, we don't have that here, right? The events happened a long time ago, although there are still floods and fires going on in Australia. So the whole idea of capturing these individual stories. But what's exciting is that there are many, many different stories. And how do we weave them together? It's actually something I'm still actively working on, right? Because you have the people that have been impacted by these floods and fires. You have the relief workers, right? You have the friends and families around the world, the companies that have been impacted, all these different things. It becomes this national thing. And one of the things that we don't want to have happen in the case here is what's happened with Haiti and with Bangladesh and with New Orleans. People forget because, unfortunately, this next thing comes along. That's why encircling this whole thing around a brand that is crisis agnostic, right? It's all just about the notion of social good through music, that's the really great thing that we're trying to go for here. Okay? All right. So now to launch this, you need to have an event. Now, how many of you heard of Unite Now? Okay, Unite Now is this wonderful organization that's been around for several years. I'm going to show you a video in a second, where they combine art activism and aerial photography. So luckily, I was fortunate enough to know the CEO of this company. And so the idea is what is that event that we can have that we can take our cause to the global scale? All right, so I'm going to show you this video right now. Let's see if this works. Technology. It's going to work. I love it. All righty. All right, here we go. So this would, we're trying to do this kind of event, right, to bring awareness. Those are all people. Great stuff? Really great stuff. So here's this perfect partner, right? When you have a social good project, it's not just about carrying everything yourself, it's about finding those partners. Here's a perfect way to bring awareness, right? Because now our event that we hope to do this summer would now add to this great body of work that this organization has done. But then what's such a wonderful thing is to bring together these flood and fire victims and relief workers and everyone within Australia that's been a part of these disasters to participate in something that can then show the world that they need that help, right? Rock on and bring relief, right? So the great thing is with all those individuals there, you're capturing all those stories. It's not just about the picture. They do a documentary. They do this whole great thing of capturing the stories, which then can be shared around the world, right? Now, one of the things we have planned for the concert, which is great, remember we have 100,000 people, is that we're actually going to have a second event. It's going to happen at a midpoint in the concert, probably at dusk, where with our app that we're going to have for the concert, that there would be a way for the crowd, 100,000 people, to participate in one group expression about bringing relief, and it would be 100,000 people. And it's designed to be the greatest piece of this kind ever done, the largest number of people, and we're going to have hot air balloons photographing the event, which then people will be able to see, tag, and share around the world during the concert itself. Is that great? So again, it's the whole idea about having these wonderful partners in place, okay? Okay, there's some of the stuff that they've done. By this way, this one over here, Justice, this one this is fast. This was in Tibet. There was someone was executed. It was this horrible story about someone that was executed unjustly, and what they had to do actually everyone in that picture could have been put to death for participating in it. And it was in a schoolyard, a walled schoolyard, and they put a cover over it, and they pulled the cover away for 30 seconds to take the picture and then put the cover back. Because they put that's why all their heads are down. If they could be identified, they could be executed for participating. So this is really serious stuff for people, right? So again, it's the whole idea about people coming together. Now, our target demographic for the concert is an interesting challenge because it's Gen X baby boomer, okay? Gen X baby boomer. It's not just your normal Gen Ys, people that are hyper-connected, right? So within that transmedia model, it's about reaching out and getting to people where they live, right? Because this is a different demographic. This isn't an early adopter demographic. So how do you reach out to them? Well, it's the whole idea of looking to the legacy of it all, right? That we're contributing to 50 years of social good through music, back all the way from Elvis through all the concerts that have happened over the year. We're looking to not be in competition with them, but we're to join them and to celebrate all of them. So this is one of the features of our website. We have a whole big timeline of social good through music. We obviously leverage all of the great legacy that Chip has. You know, that's Chip at Woodstock doing the brown acid thing. You know, that's another wonderful thing that we speak to, right? Which again speaks directly to our demographic. Okay? So our online social community, another huge part of it, right? Not only for within Australia itself, but in terms of the global reach, right? And it comes through different phases. You know, when you're having these projects, you really have to think about how it all lays out, right? You have the discovery phase, right? The pre-event phase, the event phase itself, and then the post-event. If this is a 10-year plan, then once you get through year one, you're immediately going to work on year two. There's no break, right? So this, again, is very, very important in terms of leveraging everything along the way. So it should be one interesting ride for sure. Now, again, the whole idea about adding technology to the experience, right? 100,000 people, if you think back at Woodstock, all they had was one microphone to communicate with people. So now how can we make a statement to that by taking it to the whole other level? Applying mobile technology, right, which would be a wonderful thing. Augmented reality. I'm sure some of you have probably seen those apps where you can find the bar, you can find the Irish bar, right, with like Layer is one of those companies. Okay? Imagine finding everything from your friends to the bathroom and everything in between. Imagine if you took your phone and held it up to the screen, and you took your phone and you held it up to the screen, and while someone's performing, as you looked through the phone, you could actually see things becoming animated and jumping off the screen, right? Digital psychedelics. Again, speaking to the legacy of Woodstock and other things like that, right? Okay? All right. Okay, let's see here. So now, like I said, as we talked about in one of the other earlier panels, the notion of brands, right? How are you going to pay for the concert? If 100% of ticket sales are going towards the charity, how are you going to raise money? It's about brands getting involved. And it's not about the banners on the stage anymore, right? It's all about being a part of the community and how everyone is coming together. Now, Pepsi is not a sponsor yet, but I'd love them to be, right? They are not a sponsor yet. It's the whole idea of piggybacking their own initiatives, right? And what's great about a 10-year plan is that someone can make a real investment, right? It's a really great opportunity. But again, very challenging. Like we said in the earlier panel today, who do you speak to at these companies? It's not as always easy as people think. Okay? Okay. So now, one of the things that's always very, very important in these instances is the idea of competitive analysis. Do not try to reinvent the wheel. Look and see what else is out there. So in terms of the global reach of the project, what I've very much focused on is the idea of looking at other events of its kind like Coachella. How many of you are familiar with Coachella? Okay. It's a very popular event over several days, obviously on the scale that we're looking for, and they have an immense amount of reach, right? So AEG powers Coachella, and they have their YouTube channel. Their YouTube channel where they create a multi-screen environment. They host the event live so that everyone can see it for free. It's sponsored. And then what's great is immediately after the fact, they have all the VOD clips, right? Because with music, rights is always a nightmare. And so obviously to get beyond that, that's all negotiated. That's a huge part of it as well. And so the idea is that now AEG will have this channel that will bring our concert and our brand to the world. Because we have the event in Australia, but then how do we immediately take that and build things out? And not that people in North America are going to stay up in the middle of the night to watch this concert, but it's all about how to take that momentum. So, one thing I haven't talked about yet is who's in the concert. Well, I wish I could tell you. We don't have all of that locked yet because we just changed the date again. One of the things I would say about putting on an event like this, it is very, very difficult. It is very, very difficult. Okay? And then obviously if you compound that with the whole notion of the remoteness of Australia, getting people to Australia, things like that, it is very challenging. But we are moving onward, so that's the great thing. But since, like I said, the demographics is Gen X baby boomer, we are, it's literally AC/DC, Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney. So that's the exciting part. And then, of course, once those pieces are in place, now my challenge is to leverage the talent's reach, right? Because these things are always a very delicate chessboard when you have a transmedia plan, trying to capture all these different stories, right? Because, again, it's about knowing your audience, right? It's about knowing about the reach of the pieces you have to work with, and every little piece is different. So that's the challenge that I'm faced with, right? We're even going to the point of trying to commission a filmmaker. We're in talks with Cameron Crowe, who actually might do a documentary film about just like the Woodstock film, because the whole notion of what this represents. Okay? How am I on time? I got 5 minutes. Okay, good. All right, well, I'm going to show you this last bit, and then we're going to take questions, okay? All right. So, let's see. Yep, here we go. Oh, nope, that would be wrong. Hang on, let's see. Okay. Yes. All right. So are there any questions? No, yes? No? Okay, so the thing I wanted to say to you guys was, so like I had said, I'd been looking for this kind of project to work on because of the potential of the way to intermingle stories together, right? To do something new and to do some good. So in this environment where we're all faced with the challenges of trying to get the studios, networks, brands to invest in this new kind of storytelling, don't let your skills go unused. Look around you, whether it's on a big scale or on a small scale, to find ways to help others, because those become those great case stories where you can reach out, connect with people, and show people the benefits of the storytelling that you're doing. Okay? So that's what I wanted to share with you. So thank you very much.